You gotta love the buffet. I don't go to the buffet very often. I can't even tell you the last time I went to a buffet because I realized I'm not exactly the pillar of self-control. That's just not me. I have this conundrum between eating healthy and getting my money's worth, and that's really, really hard, you know? Like, I'm a lot better at being cheap than I am at being healthy, so I go to a buffet and I want to get my money's worth. Buffets are popular because of selection. You can have a meal that consists of watermelon and pudding and pizza and grilled chicken and fried chicken and mashed potatoes. That's the only way I'm ever getting mashed potatoes is at a buffet, right? And then you got all the dessert. That's why it's so popular, because of the selection, all right? That's why my kids liked it. Somebody could be in the mood for pizza. Somebody else could be in the mood for roast beef, and it was really simple that way. And it's a great place if you want to go have selection, and it's a great analogy. I got this from Kyle Eidelman, my friend down at Southeast Christian Church in Louisville. Great analogy for how the world approaches how we get to God. This is how culture views the way we get to God. There's all kinds of different choices. Everybody just go find what suits you, and it doesn't really matter because we're all going to end up at the same airport anyway, right? That's what the world would say. And the truth of the matter is, the interesting thing about this to me is that there is a God-shaped hole inside of all of us. I mean, the Bible says that God has planted eternity in the human heart. And I believe that. I believe that it's there. All cultures look for a way to get to God. And most of the time, they end up with something that they realize that they think they need to do to get their way to God. You know, something that they can do along the way. And we all feel like there's probably a place where we want to go someday, and we're a little worried that there might be a heaven and there might be a hell, and it kind of gnaws on us just a little bit, as demonstrated by my Simpsons clip.
Now, I don't want you to get frightened, but it's my responsibility to teach you this. Today's topic will be hell.
All right. I sat through mercy and I've sat through forgiveness. Finally, we get to the good stuff.
Oh, hell is a terrible place. As a matter of fact, if you actually saw hell, you'd be so frightened you would die.
Oh, Miss Albright.
Yes, Bart.
Wouldn't you eventually get used to it, like in a hot tub?
No. Yes, Bart.
Are there pirates in hell?
Yes, thousands of them.
Oh, baby.
So what you're saying is there's a downside to the afterlife. How does one steer clear of this abode of the damned?
Good question. How does one steer clear of this abode of the damned? So we come up with these different approaches. The first approach is eat your vegetables. In other words, do good works along the way. That's what it is for us, okay? Never ceases to amaze me when I go to a buffet and I see all of these vegetables at the buffet, you know? I mean, like, this is kale, okay? Why would there be kale at a buffet? If I have a selection of food to eat, I'm not eating kale. I'm not eating quinoa. Can I get some support here? Okay? Have you ever been to a buffet and seen Brussels sprouts? Can you imagine if you had the freedom of choice, would you ever eat a Brussels sprout? No, of course not. No, you're not going to. If I have some roast beef on my plate and I want a vegetable, I'm going to have mashed potatoes. Potatoes are a vegetable. Are you with me? Are you following me? I paid for this food. I'm not eating Brussels sprouts. I saw a piece of, this is just me to you. I saw a piece of real estate for sale recently in the area, and I just happened to notice a sign. It was Kale Realty. I know you probably already go to Parkview, or somebody's going to tell you to watch this. Just a little from me to you. You got to change the name. I mean, make it Bacon Realty or Filet Mignon Realty or something, not Kale Realty. That's just not going to work. Some people do go, however, to a buffet and they decide they're going to be healthy. That's why I don't go, because I can't do that. When they're on the spiritual smorgasbord, there are people who thrive on what I would call a Brussels sprout religion. It tastes gross, but at least I can feel good because I've done my part. Now, this is where Christianity is supposed to be different than every other religion. Christianity doesn't teach that you can get there on your own. Every other religion says you've got to eat your vegetables, do some unpleasant things so that you can earn your way in. You pray 5 times a day. You give alms. You fast. You take a pilgrimage. You use a prayer wheel. You can't eat certain foods. You can't do things on certain days, and innumerable other possibilities because you're going to work your way to heaven. And the truth is, Christianity's roots go back to Judaism. Understand that. Jesus was a Jew. And Judaism, God set up the whole Old Testament in that form. You know, it was do good stuff. And if you don't do good stuff, I have a priest who will offer a sacrifice on your behalf and everything will be okay. So Moses comes down the mountain. Here are your 10 commandments. Little Mel Brooks reference. Hey, here's your 10 commandments, and you need to follow these as best you can. I got this letter that this person sent me a timeline of how, you know, they basically said, my church goes back to Jesus. What does your church go back to? You know, and showed me a timeline of how everything went. I tried to explain that our church, all churches go back to Jesus, but it doesn't matter. My church goes back to Abraham, and so does yours. God started us off with a system where he said, here's what I want you to do, here's the law, and this is important. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all go back to Abraham. This is why that mount in that little hillside in Jerusalem has a mosque and a temple on it at different layers along the way, because Judaism and Islam were fighting over this same hill in Jerusalem. Please don't miss the point. We need the law. We need the things that God gave us. We should be good, okay? Good works aren't a bad thing. They are a good thing. Eating healthy is a good thing. The question is, are you doing your good works to try to pay for your bad works? And we talked about this a little bit last week. That's the question. Are you eating your Brussels sprouts today because you went to B-Dubs last night and had 20 habanero hot wings and a quart of beer, okay? And you're trying to make up for it. That's the question. Doing good, living good is a part of the narrow way that leads to life. Having your brain set to the things of the Spirit lead to life and peace. Healthy vegetables are really good for you. I know I feel better when I eat fruit and vegetables and not so much pizza. I know that. That's why I avoid the buffet. And I'm hoping maybe you will avoid the spiritual buffet by the time I'm getting done, because eating right doesn't get us to God. Jesus does. That's what grace is all about. So that's why Christians aren't worried about that hillside in Jerusalem. No one can be made right, Paul said. No one can be made right with God by doing what the law commands. Do you understand that? Then what was the law for? He said, the law simply shows us how sinful we are. The reason God set up the whole Old Testament and the law was because we do need a way to govern our society. We do need to know the right ways, the things of God and the things that aren't the things of God. But he also wanted to demonstrate for us the fact that we are not good enough to do all those things.